I'm Julie with Annie's Heirloom Seeds, and welcome to At Home at Annie's. It's really hard to believe that spring is right around the corner. It's really cold, there's a lot of snow on the ground, and we had sub-zero wind chills this morning. But I got up to our first sign of spring. Bertha had her baby lambs this morning. I woke up to two beautiful little lambs. She had just given birth and she was cleaning them off and getting them to nurse. She looks to be a really good mom. We got Bertha last summer. She's 8 years old and we're just getting up there in sheep years. But she came from a great place and it looks like she's a really good addition to the farm. So it got to me thinking to my gardens as well. And one of the things I like to get started pretty early are my leeks and my celery. So it's time to kind of get that part of the greenhouse cleaned up so we can plant the leeks and celery. Now right behind me is our inner greenhouse. We have the large greenhouse, but I also put a little greenhouse inside. That way I only have to heat the inner greenhouse and I don't have to heat the whole greenhouse up to seed starting temperatures. So we'll have a space heater in the little greenhouse and we'll have the pellet stove in the large greenhouse. And I can keep the large greenhouse above freezing and I can keep the little one at the temperatures around 60 that I want to keep for my seedlings. And then we have heat mats in there so that the seedlings have a lot of heat that way. So we kind of step up the heat as we go, trying to save money as much as possible. As you can see, the greenhouse is kind of a mess. In late spring, when we're done starting all our seedlings and we get everything outside, I just kind of left it all. And I think we need to kind of sort it out. We're going to be setting up only one small heat mat right now because I don't need that much space for my leeks and my celery. Once we're doing tomatoes and we're doing them for everyone else, then we need to fill the entire thing with tomato plants and then we can start the seedlings several times over again. You can see there are some loose wires. Last year my son Carl set up a monitoring system for the temperatures for all the heat mats and the greenhouse temperatures that would report to my phone so that I could keep track of everything and be notified when things were getting too warm or too cold so I knew when something wasn't working. And it's time to set that up again. We kind of cannibalized some of the parts for other projects and I think we're going to have to bring everything back and get the greenhouses set up again. And now it's time to plant the leeks. I like to start the leeks in a larger pot. Now with this pot, I'm going to fill it first with potting mix. Now I have my seed starting mix that I always have sitting around. After it's filled with the seed starting mix, I'm going to sprinkle on 50 to 100 seeds in a pot this size. The less seeds you put in it, the more likely you are to harvest all of the seedlings that you planted. Now you're not really going to cover these seeds much. I just kind of ruffle up the surface, get them down a little bit, but not really deep. And now if it's time for the celery. To plant the celery, I like to use these 6-cell trays. That way I have only one or a couple plants in each cell. It's very hard to get only a few plants in each cell. So you want to make sure you have these nice small cells. Now I fill in with the soil mix. I'm using my seed starting mix. And then I'm going to lightly sprinkle a couple of seeds in each cell. I usually get too many. That's okay. And then you want to maybe tap the surface with your finger, but not much. You really don't want to bury these seeds very deep because they're really tiny and they need to be much closer to the surface. After your celery is in, it's time to set it in your tray, fill the tray with water, put on the humidity dome, and then put it on your heat mat. And now it's time to wait. Now celery is really slow, so you're going to want to be really patient. The leeks will come up a little faster, and then we're going to do some transplanting to try and get them nice and big before we plant them in the garden. I'm really looking forward to spring, and these first seedlings are going to be really exciting. I thought I'd give you a little update on our turnip experiment. This is our cat Orion. He's got an infection on his tail, so he has to wear this hood, and he's been kept in the greenhouse. Well, I discovered that he likes to use his litter box, the soil, and not the coconut coir. So he left the coconut coir alone, but he dug up all of the turnips that we planted in the garden compost. So we're going to have to plant those again if we want to do it and do a different experiment. But the turnips are still going to hopefully come up in the coconut coir, so we have that to look forward to.